Okay, Mr. Benson here with another SketchUp tutorial for you. And in this one, I want to go through all the tools you have available to you in SketchUp. Last tutorial we went through these tools right here. These are our movement tools, the ones that allow us to rotate around and zoom. If you're not sure how to rotate around and zoom and pan and those types of things, go back and watch that tutorial. We're going to talk about our building tools in this one. Now, when you open up SketchUp for the first time, it gives you this kind of basic toolbar. We want to get our advanced toolbar to go with this as well. So what I'm going to do is just right click right here, and I get all these options for different toolbars. Go ahead and just add the large tool set. Okay, so now you should be seeing this large tool set over here. We also have our basic up here. If you want to get rid of your basic up here, you can. I prefer to just leave them both, because then it's just, you know, I have some of the tools up here are the same as down here, but now I have both and they're both available to me. So, alright, so we're going to go through this tool from top to bottom now and go through what we have available to us on this toolbar over here. Just know that a lot of these tools do repeat up here. Okay, well, let's start with our drawing tools here. We first have our line tool. Okay, and it looks like a pencil, and what this is going to do is just going to do a line for me. And until I close my surface, it's not going to close. So you're going to see now I've created this triangle, and if I rotate around, I can see it. Okay, so that's really nice. Now some people get frustrated because they say, well, I want to do a triangle on the ground next to him because I'm going to do a shape next to him. What you need to do, and this is just in general with SketchUp, is you have to change your perspective. So I'm going to probably zoom out a little bit, and now I'm going to orbit up and look down. So now if I wanted to create a triangle on the ground, I can go like that. And now notice I have a triangle on the ground plus two triangles next to him. Okay, so that's my pencil tool. Now, that's always going to be really straight lines, so keep that in mind. If I wanted to do kind of a squiggly or a freehand draw, like a lovely S here, I can do that. But notice, if I zoom in here, that part didn't connect to there, so there we go. I got it to connect. So there's my lovely S. I'm really good at bubble letters, as you can tell. So there's my free draw. I don't use that a whole lot. I don't, frankly, in this, really frustrates me. So, you know, I'm not a huge fan of it. Okay, so let's move down. This next one's huge. This is going to be my rectangle tool. You use this a lot, and just creating your basic shapes. Here is some rectangles. Super easy. Click, pull out, click again. Okay, and those are my rectangle tools. This right here is going to be my rotated rectangle, which is a little funky, and that's if you want to rotate a rectangle at a certain angle. So play with that a little bit. I don't use that a whole lot. Notice I just quickly got rid of that. I use Control-Z or Edit, Undo all the time. In SketchUp, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. It's just part of being in SketchUp. Use Control-Z, or you can go to Edit, Undo, anytime. Now, if I'm like, oh no, I want that rectangle back, you can do Control-Y, and it'll come back. Control-Z takes it away. And if you make a couple mistakes, like if I go back and I want to get rid of those, I keep hitting Control-Z, and they're gone. Now, if I want to bring them back, Control-Y. Okay? So, little tip on that. This right here is going to be my circle tool. And notice I can do circles in the air. Notice everything, I'm making this hilarious little world around my model here. And everything's in 2D right now. I'm going to show you in a few minutes how to make things 3D, so just hold tight if you're waiting to see that. Alright, this tool right here is, I can't remember the actual name of it. Oh, the polygon tool. This is going to give me a shape like that. So on this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have a hexagon. If I want a different amount of sides, so this has 6 right now, I can click here and say 4, or if I want to do an octagon, maybe a stop sign. I'm going to do 8. And now notice I have a shape with 8. This is also another good place to do a nice equilateral triangle. So if I do 3 sides and hit enter, I'm going to have a nice equilateral triangle on this. Okay, so notice I'm getting lots of shapes up here, and they're all solid. If you're not solid, you're not going to be able to make them a shape. These tools here are your various arc tools. You just kind of have to play with these, and this is if you wanted to do like a slice of pie looking thing. So I'm going to click once, click twice, and pull it out. You know, if you knew exactly how long you wanted it to be. Notice the edge is curved, so that's kind of a helpful tool. The different ones do different things. Notice that one I pull up like that, and there's no connection here. So if I wanted to, I could connect those two together like that. Now I have this giant surface. I don't really like that, so I'm going to hit Control-Z a couple times and get rid of it. Alright, so those are kind of my shape tools, really helpful. I'm going to come back in here, and now we're going to get into manipulating those shapes and doing things with them. The first one is to move a shape around. So let's say I want to move this triangle right here somewhere else. First thing I need to do is get that triangle selected. So I can either click and drag around it, make sure you're on your cursor tool up here, or I can kind of double click it right there and see how it's selected. Now I can move it. Using our move tool right here, I can now come grab it and pull it around and take it somewhere else. Okay. While I have this here, I can also use my rotation tool if I wanted to rotate it. I can click on it and rotate it around. I can come to the side and rotate it like that. A lot of options here. Alright. The key tool, though, in SketchUp, I think this is like the tool that changes everything. This is your push-pull tool, which looks like a little rectangle with an arrow coming up out of it. So that's going to be right here. This is my push-pull tool. And what this allows me to do is take a 2D shape and pull it out and make it 3D. This is how we create things in SketchUp as models, or even the chance to 3D print them. So I'm going to get that through push-pull tool, and I'm going to come down to this cylinder, and I'm going to click on it and just pull it up. Okay, and notice I can pull it up, pull it down. I can go really high, really short with it. I can take this cylinder and pull it out. So I'm going to go through here and make all these shapes 3D. Notice some of them are going to run into each other. That's totally okay. So now, there's my awesome S. I'm going to make that giant, and it's going up through that triangle. Notice now my world looks a little different here. I have all these cool, crazy 3D shapes around my model down here. He's kind of locked into a box now. Now I have that. So if you want to take a minute now, pause the video and go through and practice putting shapes on and then making them 3D. It's a really cool way of doing it. I'm going to continue with the video, so keep that in mind. Now, you can combine shapes. So let's say I do a rectangle, and I pull it up and make it 3D. And now I'm going to do a circle on that rectangle, kind of like that. I can do a couple things with this circle here. I can pull it out like that, or I can push it in the other way. I can push it all the way out the back, or if I go right to that edge and let go, I now have a rectangle box with the circle punched out. Okay. Now, what we can also look at here too is every face on this is a shape that can be pushed and pulled. So I can be on the bottom, the top. Any face you have can be pushed or pulled out. So something to consider for sure. You can't pull curved surfaces. So this is curved. I can't pull it out, but I can pull out the top, big or small. Okay, same with this. Same with this. I can do some cool stuff with these shapes. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's continue on with our tools a little bit here. I got a little bit off topic there, but down here you have a few shapes. This is going to be your tape measure tool. It looks just like a tape measure. If I want to measure something, If I click up here and drag down, you're going to notice down in my right-hand corner there, right here, it shows how far that is. So right now I can see that that is 20 feet and 7 3/8 inches. So if you really want to see that size, you can do that. That's what that's there for. This, if I just put that on edges, this is kind of similar to that, and pull it off, I can see, if I'm working on this, I can just see how far things are, and those are just kind of little like guidelines for me. Really nice. If you were going to label things, your protractor tool will show you angles and things like that, just like we measured with the tape measure. The text tool, if I wanted to label things, I can click and drag off and say, this is what I'm calling cool shape. Now notice this is pointing to it no matter where I go, that's still pointing to it. So if you needed to label things, you could do that. This is my 3D text tool. If I wanted to say something here, like the PHS library is amazing, I can change my fonts to different things, change my sizes, and I can place that 3D text somewhere on my model. So you notice here it says PHS library is amazing. That's there for me. That's my 3D text tool. And then down here, these are just going to be the pan and zoom tools that we talked about. Now, there's one tool I forgot to talk about, and I really like this tool. This is our scale tool. Actually, I didn't talk about these two, and I want to talk about both of them. The scale tool allows you to change the shape and manipulate them in kind of a different way. So if I click my scale tool, notice because I had that selected, I can now go and make that text a lot bigger. I can also really manipulate it and do some cool stuff with that. I can do that with shapes too. So for example, this shape here, if I get it selected and I use that, I can make it smaller or bigger. I can also make it wider or skinnier. And one other thing I can do with that is if I just select the top and I get that, I can kind of like take this and make a little cone out of it. So with that, you can play with a lot of things and do cool stuff. So now I've made like a cone there. This tool right here is the offset tool. Let me show you where you might want to use that. If I wanted to perfectly cut out something of a shape, that's going to be really helpful. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to put in this triangle here, and I'm going to make it a 3D big old triangle. So there's my big old triangle here. Now I want to cut that out so that it's just perfectly cut out in the middle. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my offset tool. I'm going to go here and notice it's like perfectly offset on the inside of that. So if I drag it to there, now what I can do is I can pull that up, or I can push it down. And remember, if I drag to the edge, it'll disappear. Okay, so really helpful there. So I'll do the same thing real quick with a circle. Here's my circle. And if I use that offset tool on the top, like for example, if I was making a wheel, I can do that and just push it down. And there's a perfectly centered hole in that wheel. So that offset tool is super helpful. Okay, that was kind of a whirlwind of what to use here. The last couple tools I want to show you that I kind of forgot about, but it's good because I wanted to show you at the end, are going to be these tools. This is going to be my paint bucket, which is exactly as it sounds, and my eraser. Let's start with my eraser. If I wanted to get rid of something, I can kind of just click and drag around things. Now notice it only does a face at a time, so you got to kind of hold it down and erase a bunch of stuff. And I can take care of that. You can also select a shape by double clicking it. So if I wanted to get rid of that shape right there, if I select it and I hit the delete button on my computer in the upper right hand corner, it just goes away. So if I double click that and hit delete, it's gone. If you want to delete a whole bunch of stuff at once, you can drag around it and then hit delete, and it'll delete all of it. I'm going to hit Control Z.